Doc Rivers chimes in on the James Harden saga.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit fanduel.com/locked on to get started. Hello, my name is Keith Pompey. I'm the host of Locked On 76ers, and hope you guys are having a great day. But today I want to talk to you guys about first segment about Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers chimes in, earlier this week he chimed in about the James Harden saga. He was on NBA Today and commented, and I would like to talk about that. And then also I would like to talk about Nick Nurse. Second segment, I want to talk about Nick. Nick is right now doing a lot of different experiments. He's putting guys in certain situations just so we can see how they react to it and see if it's something that, they can move forward with or abort. So it's one of those things where they know they're going to make mistakes, but it's just a matter of learning from those mistakes and keep moving forward. But on Wednesday, Doc Rivers was on NBA TV as I said, talking to Malika Andrews, and he was asked, does he have any advice for James Harden? And this is what Doc had to say: just play and it will work out, right? James is a terrific player. If he has to go to Philadelphia, clearly that's not the situation he wants to be in. Going by what he said, just go and play, be a pro, and I think it will all work out, right? And then, Rivers went on to add that, he's in a tough spot. We all know that. It's hard to walk back all the things that have been said. It's a tough situation for him, but I think he's able to get through it. And, Doc is right. A tough situation. A lot of people are saying that, basically he called Daryl Morey a liar. He said what James said is Daryl's a liar and he would never play for an organization that he's a part of again. Now, you can look at it as if, James has yet to be practicing with the team, but he has yet to play in a preseason game. Now, what they're saying is they want to ramp everything up, but you can look at it as James is saying, hey, I'll never play for an organization that he's a part of again. And whereas it's one of those things where, practicing and playing, you can look at those things as two completely different things, right? And I do feel like the 76ers do not want to make this a bigger distraction than what it is. So, of course, we're ramping it up. We're doing this, we're doing that. But in regards to this being a tough situation, I look at it, the fact that he's here now was probably the biggest hurdle to come to. Now, again, I get it. If James Harden didn't show up, it would be one of those things where the NBA would have fined him for missing time and this and that. And yes, James has yet to talk to the media. And you can look at this as if like maybe he had an agreement with the NBA and with the Sixers, like, look, I'll show up, but I am not going to do any media availabilities. Therein lies, I'm not going to go to media day. I will meet you guys in Colorado for training camp, right? So you don't know what was worked out beforehand, but it kind of makes sense for all that to happen. But when you look at this James Harden situation, right now, if the Sixers want to win this season, if they want to win this season, you're going to have to get a right package for him. You are the right one. I don't see that package being available. Now, who knows? Maybe the Miami Heat may be creeping around and saying something, and they may be willing to send, someone back. Maybe Kyle Lowry. Who knows, right? Maybe send him back for a package. But I don't really see a lot of what the Sixers could get for James right now that will enable them to get a chip. Now, for James, in a perfect world, you look at it like maybe him going to the Clippers. Not maybe, that would be the best scenario for him. He could be a player that the Clippers could utilize in the regular season, play hard while Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, sit out and have downtime and do things like that. And then when the postseason comes, they'll have a sort of a big three if he's willing to take a little bit of a step back and let those two guys lead. But, in regards to it, I feel like him returning to Philly could be one of the best things for him if he's 100% bought in, like clearly. And what I mean by that is as being a facilitator. Now, James is a great player. He can play in any offense. Great player. But he prefers to play in an offense where he's going to be a guy. Now, what Nick Nurse is having now is an offense where there's free ball movement. Tobias is going to get touches. They want Maxey to have at least 20 shots per game. So, James is not going to be a ball dominant guy. He's not. But as he's shown last season, that he's a facilitator. He can be a quality point guard, someone that's going to get the team involved, someone that's going to do everything in his power to make sure that, Joel gets his touches, Tobias gets in the right spots, Maxey, the same thing. So I feel like he is an elite player in that regard, right? He is. I feel like he is an elite player in that regard. So we go again. Can he walk it back? Can he play for Daryl? He said what he said. It makes it a tough situation. I get it. He made a lot of money. His pride is on the line, this and that. So that's the major question. If he can deal with all that and say this and that, I'm going to continue to play to get my money, then it could work out. If not, who knows? But hey, you know what? The first deadline that they have a lot of times is the start of the season. Why? Start of the season, you want to have your roster intact. And then they got the December 15th, another deadline point because of why? That's when more players become available, this and that. And then the trade deadline and all this other stuff. So, again, there's some benchmarks. But ideally, if you're the Clippers, if you're the Sixers, you want something in hand by the start of the season. You do. So that's where we are with that. We'll see. It's going to be a wait and see approach to see what happens, to see what goes on. But, it should be interesting. Let's just put it that way. It should be very interesting. When I get back from this brief commercial break, we're going to talk about Nick Nurse and his approach. And, I'll be honest with you, it's been interesting. It really has been. But right now, let's snap into actions in the NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Sometimes I always want to say the NBA because I'm covering the NBA and I know we're going to do this stuff when the NBA season starts. But, you got to show the NFL love. That's what we want y'all to do is do everything NBA, NFL, NHL, whatever you like. So that's what you got to do, right? Now, talk about Nick Nurse. So Nick Nurse, the guys are talking about, the players are talking about, hey, look, we know there's going to be mistakes. But right now it's just a matter of playing through your mistakes, right? And Nick knows that. He even knows that not just the players are going to make mistakes, the coaches are going to make mistakes. But what it is, like I said, playing through them and learning from them. And then from there, what you can do is you find out as you go through these growing pains, you'll find out what are certain things that you can live with and you can deal with and things that you can't. So those are what's going on right now with the 76ers. And I'll be honest with you, stuff like that is a little refreshing, so to speak, to hear, because I'm gonna be honest. The first game I looked and I liked what I saw. I saw how there was times that different people brought up the ball, but a lot of times when they got in their sets, if you wanted a point guard to have the ball, Pat Bev had the ball, which in my opinion is the best person to have the ball on this team at this particular time, right? Without James. But then you had Tobias bringing up. You had Tobias posting up. You had, one play we talked about it. PJ Tucker brought the ball up. And then the second game, it was more of you had Maxey with the ball coming up. They were going quick. They were getting into their actions quick, fast, in a hurry. Transition, a lot of fast break, this and that. Then they brought the bench in. And then it was a great ball movement. I mean, they were spreading that thing around. That enabled Danny Green to have a solid game. That enabled DeAnthony Melton to have a solid game. It enabled Kelly Oubre to have a solid game. All in the first half for all these guys. Like, they were effective in the first half. Jaden Springer had another solid game, throughout, right? But then in the second half, it was kind of like, it was like hectic. Like, themes looked a little bit, I don't know, it just unraveled to me a little bit. But then you go through it and it's all by design. Not by design like that. They didn't want to mess up on purpose, but basically they were pitting guys in certain situations to see how they would respond, how to react. And when you look at this, having a new coach with a lot of new players, this is how you figure out what they can do. This is what the preseason is for. You take 4 games and you try different things, and then you go back and you study it and you see, okay, well, I can put this guy in this situation, that situation. This is going to work. That's going to work. This isn't going to work, and we'll abort it if it doesn't. So, I kind of like what I saw. I really did. You know what I mean? And what Nurse says, like, sometimes it's a mistake and it applies to the coaching as well, right? We got to get them in front of the groove and figure out who's better on offense, defense, who's better on special teams, all that kind of stuff, right? And while experiencing the growing pains, the Sixers will figure out things are salvageable, right? So that's what it's all about. So and he says, I think and then they were also, now here's something that's important. And I was about to not talk about this, so I just thought of it in my mind. Joel Embiid has not played in the first 2 preseason games. We talked about before how James Harden hasn't played, but they're also ramping up Joel, so he hasn't played. But they're working on certain things with him, right? He's getting used to reading his teammates in the new free-flowing offense at practice, right? And he likes the adjustments that are being made. I mean, that's what Nurse said. And this is what Nurse said about him. I think he feels like he's got a good understanding of which direction things should go, being able to mix it up. Again, a little bit of an unpredictability on that for him. And we also did some of the things that he's really good at too, which is pounded inside to him. And he looked awesome out there today, talking about Thursday's practice. He's getting there in shape, and he looks really good. So the thing is now, a lot of people, when I heard that, and I'm pretty sure a lot of the fans are probably like salivating, because what's the one thing that we always said that Joel Embiid didn't do enough of, even though the analytics say that he posts up more than any player in the NBA. But the one thing that we wanted is we wanted him to post up more. I think he's more than 280. I think he's over 3, right? And that's not saying he's overweight or nothing like that. He's just a big dude, a big dude. So with that being said, it's like he's a beast down low. And the fact that they pounded inside to him and he's killing people at practice is great. Now, again, we are going to see Joel hover outside, do what he has to do. That's what he does, right? That's what he does at times. But the fact that you're hearing that he's down low, they're pounding it to him, he's just killing people, is what you want to hear. It's really what you want to hear. So those are the things that, really stood out to me from Nick Nurse. And we talk about the mistakes that are being made, and they're learning from them, all that other stuff. Things are good. Things that Sixers appear to be in a really good place, right? They appear to be in a really good place. I just want to thank y'all again for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. Every dayers on Monday's show will basically preview their third preseason game. So make sure you come here on Monday morning, early in the morning. And who knows, I may even drop it on Sunday night. But what I'm going to do is we're going to preview their third preseason game. They play the Brooklyn Nets. Get ready for Ben Simmons, right? Get ready for Ben. All right, I want to talk about Allen Iverson. Yesterday was a big day for AI. Yesterday being Thursday was a huge day for AI. For you guys who know, what Reebok did is Reebok named Allen Iverson its vice president of, let me make sure I get this 100% right, the title right, but they made him the vice president of basketball. And what that does is it strengthens their long-term connection to the brand. Now, Shaquille O'Neal, another Hall of Famer with ties to the brand, was named president of basketball. Both players will help the recruitment and revival of the Reebok name. And I think that's pretty good, because if you look at it, when we talk about grassroots, we talk about people giving back. I mean, both of them are do that. Iverson's role will be to drive player recruitment along with leading the grassroots, like I said before. And he will have athlete activations, similar to his annual Allen Iverson Round Ball Classic. So for him to do all that, I think is a win-win. I mean, when we think of AI, we always talk about his lifetime contract with Reebok. $32 million trust on his 55th birthday, thanks to the deal that he signed in 2001. Now, what he did is he first became a Reebok guy right before the draft. I mean, right after he was drafted in 1996, right? But in 2001 is when he signed that lifetime contract. Now, in addition to that 32 million that he receives, he reportedly receives an annual check of $800,000 as part of his lucrative deal. So He receiving an annual check of $800,000 lifetime. I mean, yo, you can't beat it. So yesterday was a big day for AI, a big day for Shaq. We learned a lot about what Nick Nurse is trying to do. Doc Rivers this week made his comments about the James Harden situation. So, it was a productive last couple of days in regards to getting news about the 76ers. So, hey, I want you guys to have a blessed weekend, right? I'll talk to you guys on Monday. But the one thing you got to know is that you can get this podcast wherever you get your podcast at. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast at. But make sure you also go to the YouTube channel, Locked On 76ers. And when you go there, like it. Also, click on the Liberty Bell. When you click on the Liberty Bell, you become a new subscriber. And you also get notifications when the next podcast drop. So do that. You can also read my articles in the Philadelphia Inquirer, right? So have a blessed weekend, and I'll talk to you guys on Monday. Again, have a blessed weekend. Peace.